big sky, big potential. In association with Mills and Reeve, this is Eastern Promise. Achieving more together. Farewell, my summer love, and welcome back to the East of England. This is Eastern Promise, the podcast that showcases each opportunity, every achievement, and all the potential across this mighty region. I'm Mike Rigby, and we begin our new season in King's Lynn. We've covered this Hanseatic port town, the capital of West Norfolk, and it isn't only a hotbed of history and culture, by no means. It's also building a formidable offer for life science and health tech entrepreneurs. That's why you join us in the boardroom of Merxin, medtech innovator and anchor tenant on the new King's Lynn Enterprise Park. So join these potential propagating pioneers on King's Lynn Enterprise Park, where the opportunity's so big you can see it from orbit. This is Eastern Promise. Potential is one of the watchwords of this show. Big sky, big potential, remember? Yes. And I know that this is at the core of the East of England's offer, and few places embody this as much as King's Lynn. We've chronicled this West Norfolk Port's historic and cultural offer several times on Eastern Promise, for their own undoubted merits, of course, but also the numerous opportunities that these provide for regeneration and economic development. And that's just the beginning, because there's so much more to King's Lynn, such as the blossoming opportunities for tech and life science companies on the new King's Lynn Enterprise Park. I wanted to explore those opportunities, and so I assembled friends old and new at the headquarters of the park's anchor tenant, medtech firm Merxin.
Well, you can tell how keen I was to get here to Merxin on the new King's Lynn Enterprise Centre because I turned up a month early. That's how keen I am. And now I've actually been inside the building, other than forlornly being asked, what are you doing here? I can say the future is here, and it is King's Lynn Enterprise Park. See, I told you there would be hyperbole. So let's go round the room and tell you, listeners, who we have with us today. And we'll start to my left with...
Good morning, Mike.
Thank you.
My name's Simon Ring. I'm Deputy Leader of King's Lynn and West Norfolk Borough Council, and my specific responsibility now, different to when we last met at the Guildhall, is business. So I've moved on from culture, and I'm now trying to bring the two together, because as a conversation I had with Graham some time ago, without the culture and the desire to want to live here, the businesses won't come and they won't stay because they can't get the staff. So.
Well, I've waxed on various podcasts today and in the future about how the assets in King's Lynn are so superb. I tell everybody about the stage that's been discovered under the Guildhall, but that's not for today. But we will return to it in the future, I promise you.
I'm sure I'll bring it in somewhere.
Oh, please do. So we move around to your right, and we have...
Jemma Curtis, I'm the Regeneration Programmes Manager at the Borough Council.
Were you actually on microphone in the Guildhall, Jemma?
No, I don't think I was. No, it was...
Just myself and Al.
Yeah, and Vicky.
Well, welcome.
I'm Jennifer Wigzell. I manage the Enterprise Zone programme for Norfolk County Council. Previously at the LEP, and oversaw some stuff there. So, yeah, now at Norfolk County.
Welcome. And our host today is...
Good morning, Mike. Welcome back to Merxin.
Thank you.
I'm Graham Purkins, the co-founder of Merxin and Chief Technology Officer.
Now, this Merxin has been the sort of the opening gambit, if you like. The opening gambit's probably the wrong word, but the first step of the King's Lynn Enterprise Park, and your journey here has been really exciting. And this is, I mean, you've got your logo on this beautiful sort of deep red wall here to my left. This bright white elevated logo looks fantastic. Tell us, Graham, about Merxin. How did you start, and and what brings you to the Kings Lynn Enterprise Park?
Wow, okay, how do we do this quickly? So Merxin celebrates its 10th birthday this year, which seems to have gone very quickly. It started when an ex-colleague from Novartis phoned me up and said he had a great idea that we should start an inhalation device development company. Now, he's a chemist. I'm a device engineer, so I could see where some of the work was going to land on it. And I thought it was a crazy idea. I thought, wow, you've got no idea how hard that will be. But said yes, and a sort of half-hearted yes. And then found myself actually suddenly we were having to make it work. Put a lot of effort in, and then 2016 we got our first client, and then 2017 started needing our own premises. Till that point we were virtual. We went down to Cambridge, being life sciences, it was a natural fit. Floor space there was twice the price, and you got allocated 2 car parking spaces, which if I was already successful and all my staff lived in Cambridge would have been fine. But for a startup with staff travelling, it was really a hostile environment. So we looked at the Cllr. The wasteland around it, I was promised would be a business park in due course. And the building itself, I really liked. It set the right tone for what we wanted to be. And we moved in there in 2017 and made it our home. Then from 2019, got in conversation with the council about the Enterprise Park and being part of that. And I think of us as the vanguard for the Enterprise Park. That's the word we are.
Thank you.
We are the frontier.
The new frontier, absolutely. So Cllr, just for anyone who's listening, probably in Cambridge and now lamenting the loss of possibilities, but it'll all come good in the whole east of England soup, if you will. Cllr is the Kings Lynn Innovation Centre. And just clarify for us what exactly Merxin does on a sort of day-to-day basis. What's the life science angle you're sort of putting out there?
Yep, so we design and develop innovative inhalation device platforms, so the mechanical device part for inhalers for delivery of drugs to the lungs, typically to treat lung disease, so asthma, COPD. And we develop our own intellectual property, our own designs, and develop them to a stage where we then license and partner with pharma companies who take our technology and build it into the finished drug product.
That's fantastic, and it's great to have you here. So what brought you, I mean, when you're looking at Cambridge, there's obviously a sort of 360-degree series of options. What were the decisions that sort of brought you to Kings Lynn, the Kings Lynn Innovation Centre, the Cllr, and as opposed to, you've gone through why not Cambridge, but why here?
Well, you can probably tell by my accent that I'm not a local. So
that's all right, neither am I.
It's more, how did I end up in Kings Lynn? So
right.
I've moved around with work. I grew up in Edinburgh. My first job after university was in the Midlands for a large American company doing inhalers. I'd always thought I'd do diggers, but there you go. Funny how things work out.
All boys want to do diggers.
I know, I love them, but I still do now, driving around my garden. Then went down to West Sussex, working for a pharma company, and then they closed the site there. I ended up working at Bestback as a project manager on their sort of lead programme, and I got to put up a whole new building and take that project through the industrialisation. And that was when I first turned up there. I said, "Well, look, I'll come for 3 months to help fix the problem. But I'm not staying." And that was December 2012, and then May 16, I was still there. So by that time I had a family. We were established in Kings Lynn, and I thought, actually Norfolk's really nice. The summers are lovely. I don't want to move again. We're happy here. Where do I set up my business? Well, I said Cambridge expensive, but a short commute to work was terribly convenient as well. And having Cllr and the facility there, 10 minutes from my house, seemed perfect.
So just fast forward to today. So what is it about the relationship that you've built, clearly that you've built with colleagues from the councils, that keeps you in Kings Lynn as well as your family? I mean, you still got sort of universe of choices.
Sure. Well, we were chatting briefly when these guys came in. When I started Merxin, I had no idea how to run your own business, and I had absolutely no idea of what support there is out there to help you do it, because it's quite frankly it's hard. So the local council had approached me initially on reaching out for support for grant funding, things like that, which was always appreciated. But I think from that point, it was also really around helping support us with our credibility. As a new company, you don't have that established brand which you can leverage. I had 20 years of experience in the profession, but suddenly you've lost the brand of the company you're working for. So the council then supporting us with that and giving us the help with the PR and recognition side of it to build our credibility has been really, really key in supporting our growth. So, for example, in 2019, we were recognised with the Mayor's Business of the Year Award, which then we can pitch to clients as part of establishing, our credibility, which is really key. And that's been recognition at a local level and, at points national level as well.
Well, let's hope we do have a global audience, so who knows what may come of this. So I'll come to Simon Ring, but Jemma and Jen, could you just individually talk through the support that you've brought to Graham and to Merxin, but also that are on offer more generally to businesses in Kings Lynn and obviously from Jen's point of view, the wider Norfolk?
Yeah, I guess there's two elements to it, really. You've got the enterprise zone itself, which is part of a national initiative. Nearly a decade ago, the previous government launched a number of enterprise zones across the country and 10 across the Norfolk and Suffolk region. Yeah. And so that's very much about a partnership with us and the then local enterprise partnership and now the county council, which is about providing the infrastructure to help these businesses, start to grow. So there's that kind of bigger strategic piece around identifying and supporting key clusters and sectors in our local economy that we want to help grow. And the infrastructure that we've put in on the park here has been instrumental for businesses like Merxin and we hope others to grow. At a more kind of local, kind of one-to-one business level, there's a whole package of both what we do with within the Borough Council, but also at the County Council, a whole range of different grant funding support, but other support as well that Jen will probably touch on around the County Council, around supporting scaling up of businesses. Certainly over the last couple of years, we've had, for example, the Rural England Prosperity Fund, which has supported businesses particularly in rural areas, and bizarrely enough, the Enterprise Park actually fits within the rural category. So, as a
conveniently,
yeah. So it's a real incentive actually for businesses wanting to move in the park over the next year. Actually, that there's a real opportunity with grant funding available to support businesses' growth. Whether they need equipment, capital investment to help their business grow. That's a real opportunity for businesses in terms of supporting their growth on the park here.
Jen.
Yeah, I think there's various kind of ways to get help. I think it's quite bewildering, and particularly when you're new, you kind of Google things and it's like you need to speak to a person, really, don't you? So if you've got a sympathetic district council and you've got the kind of county council that want to encourage people to set up businesses and to expand businesses and to populate sites like this. So, specifically in my team in economic development at Norfolk County Council, we have a programme called Connected Innovation, which connects all the hubs across Norfolk and Suffolk. So that includes KLEP, so the Innovation Centre here, lots of places over in Norwich Research Park, and that kind of thing across Norfolk and Suffolk, that is. So you can just Google Connected Innovation and look at that. There are grant schemes. There's a new grant scheme called Made Smarter, which is a national initiative, and it's to digitise and get more kind of digital stuff into manufacturing, and that comes with grants. I think it's up to £20,000, but again, it's something you can look at. County Council also has the New Anglia Growth Hub, where you can get advice, support on a sort of individual level. You can also join kind of workshops and cohorts for sort of skills boot camps and things like that. And they do lots of workshops and webinars for everybody around, analytics and bid writing and all that kind of stuff. So, access to skills and knowledge and grants as well, I think, is probably how I'd kind of sum that up.
I'm just making mental notes for myself as much as anything else for the Eastern Promise Community Interest Company. So, Mr. Deputy Leader, I can see across, Jemma has in front of her these very fine-looking brochures, glossy brochures, the Kings Lynn Enterprise Park. You've heard the words of the anchor tenant here. And I have to say, it's the opportunity. You can almost smell it outside. You can tell, yes, it's in a very early stage, but boy, you can see, where the growth, the opportunity, and the potential is going to come in. So, talk us through from your perspective what it means to have Merxin here, and the overall plan for the Kings Lynn Enterprise Park.
Well, first of all, let me just tell you a little bit more about Graham, who is a very humble character, who has said that he looked for help and support and guidance, but you've got to be somebody that's prepared to then take on that guidance and help and support it, because councils are not there to do things for businesses, they're there to support those businesses. So you need to be a business like Graham who values that support and help and then takes it on board and then delivers it, because we can't deliver it for you. It's got to be delivered by those businesses. And I'll just further say one more thing about Graham here, just to try and embarrass him, although that's very difficult, obviously, to embarrass somebody on a podcast. But he also became chair of the Town Deal Board, which was an enormous job to do for somebody who had just established their own business. It is a great shame he's no longer chair, but everyone fully understood that he needed to concentrate on the growth of this business. So you refer to him as an anchor tenant, and that is exactly what he is. But he's also, and this business is also one that is a real shining star in the ways that it should be done. I know what it's like to start a business from scratch, and it is very, very hard. It's very, very lonely. So going out and seeking the sorts of support and advice that you get from people like Jen and Jemma is first stage, absolutely first stage. And it might be that the support and advice that the councils can give at that stage in that business life isn't appropriate. The funding might not be appropriate, but knowing that it's there and that it might fit in a little bit further down the line of your development is very, very important. A couple of things that Graham said as well is really the challenge for us. Graham has ended up staying here by accident, because it was an accident he got here with Bestpac. It's an accident he decided to stay because it's a lovely place. And it is. And Kings Lynn is full of people with Scottish accents, with Midlands accents, with Northern accents, with Southern accents, who have come here by accident for whatever reason, a job move, a holiday, whatever, and they've decided to stay. The challenge for us as a council on this estate and future estates we might develop down the A10 and down the railway line towards Cambridge and London is to make people see this place and want to come here, rather than accidentally come here and want to stay. Because the method that Graham has ended up here is uncontrollable. We have no way of controlling that. But we need to have a method that controls it. So yes, this is a fantastic looking site. You come in on a train to visit Kings Lynn, because you're visiting some of the wonderful the stage at the Guildhall, for instance. Got it in. And you see from the railway line, if you happen to be looking out the right window at the time, this enterprise park. And if you love your day in Kings Lynn, you might then think, let's go and have a look at some of Jemma's brochures and see what's available, because my business needs to expand. But we're not in control of that. So we need to find a method of grabbing those people. And I'm really interested to listen to why Graham didn't go to Cambridge. We'll have further chats about that, because if that's a reason why people aren't going to Cambridge, the cost and the parking, let's build that in here. We know we're significantly cheaper, but we're not Cambridge. And there's a kudos in the life sciences business in particular to being in Cambridge. So we need to try and break that barrier down a little bit. But at the same time, we need to create and continue to create the identity of this park. It's live, work and play. So we need to involve some other aspects to it. The thing about Kings Lynn, as you know, because you've visited many times, is you can throw a blanket over Kings Lynn. You are a walk away from the town centre here, and you're a walk away from the cultural centre of Kings Lynn. And that's never going to change, because Kings Lynn, you can't change the size. The size is the size. So we've got to make sure we carefully develop this site in terms of mix, in terms of if everyone was a life sciences business, it'd be great in some respects, but in other respects it would be a bit bland and a bit boring. So we need to create a mix on here that works well. We're running a business as a council in terms of trying to generate the income and sell the ground space. So we need to make sure that we attract people here because it's good value. When you're looking at the space that Graham's in, there is a temptation to try and latch on to the Cambridge prices a little bit more, which we need to be careful we don't do. But in the type of literature you see there that Jemma's got, one big change that we need to do at the council is that needs to be half about this site and the other half about Kings Lynn and the opportunities in Kings Lynn. Graham and I had a conversation a few months ago about a particular staff member that was finding it difficult to acclimatise because they couldn't find friendship groups and came down from another area. So we need to work on that. We need to find out how do we do that. And this isn't the council doing these things. The council isn't here to do things. It's here to facilitate things. Whether you're a cultural organisation or a business community, we should be there to support you developing yourselves. And we are very loud and about it now, and we have got some fantastic officers that are sitting there, like Jemma and the rest of the Regen team, like our cultural team, that will do that, but not do it for you. And that is absolutely the key to it, because businesses like Graham's won't grow and become more and more profitable if they constantly expect someone else to do it for them. So they need to find their wings and fly, and which is what Graham's doing. But Graham's the sort of character, thankfully, that lends that help back to us again and is happy to share those experiences, which is brilliant.
I love the ethos behind what you're doing, and about that sort of collaborative spirit, that come and look and see what we've got, and letting the anchor tenant be your ambassador, and also being open to reaching down to Cambridge, because people will come up. I mean, you might. There's always the risk that people could go in the other direction, but then they become your evangelists. They become your ambassadors in that place who say, "Hey, you want to start up? You go and see where we got going." I've heard so many great things. I mean, one of my best listeners, Adam Peed of Annuity, he was the first one to grab me and say, "You must go to Kings Lynn." So that you have so many loyal ambassadors. That must be really, really encouraging for you, Simon.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's not a surprise, because this is a great place to live. An old friend of mine once, he came to Kings Lynn in the early 1980s, and when he got here, he was told, or when he was journeying here with his company, he was told, "Be careful, it's the graveyard of ambition." And frankly, he was right. And up until quite recently, he was still right. Because ambition has to come from within. The people in an area have to have pride in the area that they live in to then be ambitious about that area. And that tide is now changing. We have some high deprivation indexes in some of the areas on the doorstep of this estate, for instance.
Yes.
And we are doing things to try and tackle that, and to raise the attainment levels, to raise the aspiration levels is absolutely critical, because businesses like Merxin, the cheapest way to recruit is on your doorstep. But if you can't get the quality that you need on your doorstep, you've got to go somewhere else. You've got to pay the HR consultancy firms a lot of money to try 3 people out before you get the right one, and all the rest of it. So there's a big project in Kings Lynn on every aspect, and as I keep banging on, the council needs to be at the heart of it, but it must be the people that are doing it, and there is a real change, and I'm sure Jemma will agree, because she's seen it from the council. Because as young as she looks, she's been around for an awful long time, and we've got there's a real passion. We have a new CEO at the council who is ambitious and driven, but she's connected to the staff. The culture is changing in terms of the can-do attitude, and that is so important, because if we're doing this at the council, then that will flow out to the rest of the community, providing we're reaching out. Engagement with the community is always a bit of a lip service, I find, in local authorities. That's not a lip service that we're dealing with. We have some amazing people live in Kings Lynn. You'd be amazed at the cultural people that have ended up in Kings Lynn and want and stay. Or, in fact, they've targeted Kings Lynn to come and stay because they understand what we've got. You know, we've got some people that have been the great and the good in the cultural world in this country that are now living in Kings Lynn. So rather than just wait for them to engage where we're looking at some cultural aspects, we're now going to them and saying, with your experience, can you come and give us some guidance and advice? I mean, these are consultants you pay fortune in the world out there to engage, and they live here. They're on our doorstep. And the reason I mention that culture is because without this being a wonderful place to live, Graham's not going to be able to recruit because he can't recruit locally at the moment because we haven't got those attainment levels up. We haven't got those education aspiration levels up. But we're working on it, and we need the local academy trusts to work with us on that. That's a challenge because they're hard to get into. The College of West Anglia have been absolutely fantastic. They are really up for driving their offering to their students to meet the needs of businesses like Merxin. So, you know, that's a great starting point. There's some great characters there that are helping us with that. So this isn't about the business, isn't about the it's about everything, and everything coming together. And when we produce literature going forward, it won't be about this estate, look how good this looks. It'll be, look this estate and look how good the whole place looks, and look at the housing opportunities that are coming down the line, literally down the line. We need to sell this place. We need to market Kings Lynn like we've never marketed it before. And then we will get people wanting to stay and targeting Kings Lynn as a place to be.
What you've outlined there is that really strong narrative that I, doing this, love to get into and put forward and, again, evangelise about. So, Jen, I'll start with you and then come to Jen and perhaps back to Graham. With that holistic view, don't look so panicked. He's like, oh my God, he's picking on me. With that kind of holistic county-wide hat on, what does having that narrative in your toolkit mean to you as an officer whose job is to promote these sorts of places?
It is the story, isn't it? It's being able to have photos of people and their businesses in a place. It's great to have like pictures of the roads and that kind of stuff and say this infrastructure is kind of going in, but it is people being there and people doing their work and basically doing their work and what they're there to do. It's really powerful stuff for social media, for all your kind of LinkedIn stuff to take out to people, to have case studies and have like a suite of kind of case studies that you can tailor to whoever you're kind of talking to. And it's that thing about people selling a place, I guess, is kind of the long and the short of it, really. And just having those success stories that are very kind of clearly from here to this point. It's like any kind of like TV show or anything like that, isn't it? It's like you start with this and it kind of builds to that. And I think that's probably the best kind of tool we have. Facts and figures and everything are great to back it up, but if you have a visible kind of photo, a picture, a presence, a person that can kind of project that all for you, then that's kind of half your job done, really, I think. Absolutely.
Jemma, do you want to reflect on that for us?
Definitely, and I think with this site in particular, it's almost we're in a new era where we think about, we know there's going to be significant housing growth further, and obviously the growth of Downham Market, which is well connected to the park from the rail line, shows, connecting to Cambridge, shows that opportunity that we can build on what we have, as a town, has done previously in, 50, 60 years ago as part of the London Overspill expansion, when businesses like, world-leading businesses now, like that are already established in Kings Lynn, like Williams Refrigeration, like Foster Refrigeration, they all started started as part of that era and are now world leading. And so we have an existing cluster, if you like, of world leading manufacturing, advanced engineering businesses, others like Bestpac that have, that were evolved during that time as well and set up roots in Kings Lynn. So there is already a cluster of those high growth sectors in Kings Lynn that can help support that next generation of businesses like Merxin and hopefully others in those sectors, which are the ones that are really going to produce the growth, the jobs, the quality growth and jobs for the local people in Kings Lynn in the future. So, I think it's a new era in terms of where we've been to before and now really pushing again our story and the next stage of our story, really, I think.
Well, I will say when we last met at the Guildhall, I walked away from that and a very brief, all too brief, I must say, tour of the town with the guest appearance from Eric, telling us all about the Customs House. Not quite realising, bless him, that he was being recorded and I didn't quite have the heart to tell him. Lest he give an opinion that wasn't for minuting, shall we say. I just came away with that.
We actually did listen. I did listen to what Eric said, and we are actually developing the changes to the Custom House broadly on the lines that Eric was recommending.
Eric, thank
you. Eric's
sage of Kings Lynn.
Absolutely.
So always listen to your local Eric, I think, is the lesson there.
He's your consultant.
Yeah,
you pay a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
But, okay, you're giving me my business. But what I was going to say was, I came away from that just fizzing with, they could do this, you could do this, you could do, and you could do that. And that is something that I won't say never usually happens, because it does, but it doesn't happen to that extent, that you come away fizzing with the possibilities of what a place could do. And it's not, it's sort of part of my place, but it's your place. It's the place, the people who live here and the businesses here. And Graham, before I ask you to sort of give us the future glimpse of Merxin, where you're going to go with this, but just I want to reflect on all you've heard about the sound choice you've made, being sort of part of this accidental, now on purpose catalyst for such great things happening here.
Well, as Councillor Ring says, I ended up in Kings Lynn by accident. The choice to set up Merxin at KLEP was driven by some business choices. But when we committed to the future of Merxin being on this site, it's because we bought into a bigger vision that we were sold. I remember having a discussion, being pointed towards the empty field and being promised a business park full of thriving, exciting companies and not car dealerships and supermarkets. And I thought, that sounds great. I'd like to be part of that. The technologies we develop at Merxin are leading edge in our industry. We're very comfortable at the frontier. It's where you make things happen. And, I could see us being part of that. It could be at risk, a bit lonely out there on your own, but the opportunity to help create that vision and be part of it, I found really exciting. And now we're actually here with a building that, it's amazing, and in partnership with the council to get to that point. When Councillor Ring talks about retention, we can sell Merxin much more confidently as a company to people, and we have to recruit from outside. We have local people, but for graduates, it means relocation. We can sell Merxin, but the vision for an enterprise park that's not a line of units for rent, but actually a community where there's collaboration and connection between it, and that wider ecosystem is what then creates the draw and value for the area. And for me, it's a really exciting opportunity for Merxin to help shape and create that vision.
So what does the future hold for Graham and for Merxin, for this park from your point of view?
Well, for the park, I'd love to see other science, technology or innovative companies grow up around us. I completely agree that a focus on life science alone is not where it needs to be. You look at Hethel in Norwich, we had a company we were working with based there. And that sort of ecosystem where there's the cross-fertilisation of ideas and energy about it, having a park where you have that feel where you've got, you end up with enough people, you've got a sandwich shop where there's people chatting to each other and you get that cross-fertilisation. That, for me, is a really exciting, dynamic environment for companies like us to operate in and to be able to help attract talent to the area.
fantastic. Jemma, where do people go to find out more about Kings Lynn Enterprise Park and arrange perhaps to come and have a look?
Yes, definitely. So we've got our own dedicated website, www.kingslynnenterprisepark.co.uk. We've also got our channel on LinkedIn, and we're doing a lot of activity at the moment in terms of promoting the site. We are running tours if anyone wants to have a look at the industrial units that we've got available. The offices are now fully let that we built speculatively. Obviously, Merxin's in one of them, but we've got two 10,000 square foot industrial units that are available, doing tours on those, and the Innovation Centre has a waiting list, but if anyone wants a virtual tenancy just to kind of make a start of being part of this journey, then you can sign up. We have a dedicated website for Cllr as well. So yeah, get in touch.
And Jen, do you want to do some signposting of your own to the services? Or we can just put them in the podcast. Well, we will put them in the podcast notes as well. But if there's any, do you want to sort of? It'll all be available on norfolk.gov.uk, one assumes. But
yeah, there's a specific website for New Anglia Growth Hub where you can go and have a look there. And I think I mentioned Connected Innovation and Made Smarter, which is the national initiative, but the East, which is quite a big chunk of East and South, is housed within sort of Norfolk County Council. So that's something you can go and have a look on. And everybody's very active on LinkedIn as well. So if you tap Made Smarter into it, you'll be able to find something, or any of our names, I guess, as well.
Absolutely. So I just before we say goodbye, just going to whiz around one more time just for some final messages and final thoughts of what we've discussed today. Have we missed anything? By the way, did I see there's a health building just across the way, an NHS building, and I just think that's so important. Just literally just outside, that's so important to have that cheek by jowl, research and healthcare in a similar way to the research park. Then that's a marvellous thing. But Graham, we'll start again with you and just final thoughts and reflections on this morning.
Well, look, Mike, thank you for bringing everyone together to discuss the park. And for me, it is a vision that's worth pursuing and a really exciting opportunity for the park, for Merxin to be part of, and for Kings Lynn as an area. So encourage people to come along, have a look, and be part of the journey.
Absolutely. Jen?
Yeah, I would echo what Graham says. It's a very personal project for me. I was born about 100 metres away, so this is kind of where I grew up. I am excited for the future, really, seeing who kind of comes. Now we have Merxin and the other people in the offices and that kind of thing. It's getting people on the dance floor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Show us your moves. Jemma?
Definitely. Come and, start your business here and see where the journey takes you, because, we want this to be a place where people can start, whether it's a virtual tenancy, get a small office at Cllr, and then potentially rent a unit, and then who knows, maybe they want to build their own on the park. The opportunities are here.
What I love is that you're seeing opportunity everywhere and not sort of danger or threat, or someone's going to poach this business, and you can't. I don't think you can be sort of run something like this like that. You have to be full on optimism, full on potential, full on positivity. Things come and things go, but the ethos of this place is so wonderful. The ethos of the Enterprise Park that you've all expressed is really wonderful. And we'll just end with some thoughts from Deputy Leader Councillor Simon Ring.
I'll just bring up something that we spoke about on you and I on the way up, and that was opportunity. There's a lot going on at the moment in local government and with government changes and funding. Jemma talked about the Rural Enterprise grant, which is less than last year. However, we have devolution on the horizon, and devolution with the new mayoral authority, which should begin next May, will bring with it significant funding opportunities. And Kings Lynn and West Norfolk is ready. We have projects ready, but we need businesses to step up and have a look at what's going on here and take an opportunity that's on their doorstep. And if devolution can help in that in any way, then it will, because whoever becomes the first mayor of Norfolk and Suffolk combined authority will want some very quick, easy wins, and we're ready to give them to them, both on a cultural, on a transport, on a enterprise basis. We're ready, and if you want to be on that journey, you've got to get the ticket.
My huge thanks to Cllr Simon Ring, to Jemma Curtis, Jen Wigzell and our host, Graham Purkins. It's an unalloyed pleasure to watch Kings Lynn continue to blossom. In common with many post-industrial towns across the Western world, deindustrialisation has left challenges in its wake for Kings Lynn. Yet, as another regular visitor to the town, the decidedly more famous Mr. William Shakespeare would say, "What's past is prologue." And bless dear old Bill the Bard, he's absolutely right. That's why I love taking Eastern Promise, not just to Cambridge, to Norwich, Ipswich, Peterborough and Colchester, though I certainly do. I also love going to Thetford, Ely, Bury St Edmunds, Lowestoft, Huntingdon, St Neots and, yes, Kings Lynn. These wonderful places where heritage and culture aren't lost, they're celebrated. And at the very same time, the future is being embraced and nurtured. And Shakespeare understood, writing, "Our doubts are traitors, and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt." Measure for Measure, Act 1, Scene 4. The massive potential of Kings Lynn Enterprise Park shows that the partnership here isn't only attempting something truly magnificent, it's delivering too. And Eastern Promise knows that the best is yet to come. That's all there is for episode 141, the first of our 2025-26 season. I have been Mike Rigby, and will be so again next week as we call in on the organisation that's driving forward new technologies in healthcare as the innovation arm of the NHS in the East of England. I'll be talking to Piers Ricketts, Chief Executive of Health Innovation East. And there are very few regions in the UK with anything like the richness of medtech and healthcare innovation as the East of England. Piers and I will be diving into the why and also how his team support our region in keeping up this pace. That's all to come in 7 days' time on Eastern Promise. So until then, bye for now. To hear other episodes of the Eastern Promise podcast and to find out more about what we do, go to our website at easternpromise.org.uk. Eastern Promise is a Pudding Shed production in proud association with Mills and Reeve, achieving more together.